Hello! So I just wanted to start this video off by thanking everybody who showed my last video some love. It was without a doubt the most effort I've put into any of my videos previously. It took me over 2 days to edit altogether, hours and hours of hard work, and then when I shared it online, I got loads of lovely comments, lots of people sharing it, so I just wanted to say a big thank you for that. The fact that it's over half an hour long, I can understand if people didn't watch it all, but if you even watched a little bit of it, then yeah, I really want to thank you. So it was in my last video that I mentioned I wanted to take this channel in a different direction and do some more music-based projects, including album reviews. Seeing as my last video was so heavily Green Day related, I thought I'd do a sort of follow-up and make my first album review a Green Day one. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a track-by-track and overall review of Green Day's latest studio album, Father of All Motherfuckers. And yeah, I said motherfuckers. You can demonetize me. I only make 12p a year. Joke's on you, twats. Now, I remember when the hype started for this album. It was back in August last year, and this was before any official announcements were made, but the band were dropping like little hints on Instagram. They were posting snippets of photos in like the recording studios, and I was like, they're definitely working on something here. And then Billy Joe posted this video on September 9th. And that pretty much confirmed that something big was happening. I remember going to work the next day and I was just waiting all day. I was just staring at the clock, dying to get home, because I think the announcement was made at 5 PM for the UK, and I finished work at 4 PM, and I was like, I need to fucking get out of here, go home. I got home, went onto Green Day's official YouTube channel, and there was a countdown going on when it turned 5 o'clock. I actually filmed some parts of the countdown and the announcement.
Let's go over the ground rules. Rule number 1, no touching of the hair or face. And that's it. Now let's do this.
And it was in that video they announced the Hella Mega Tour! The mental world tour they're going on with Fall Out Boy and Weezer next year? No, this year. This year! The mental world tour they're going on with Weezer and Fall Out Boy later this year. And they also put up on their website the announcement for their latest album, Father of All Motherfuckers, which was to be released on February 7th. And lo and behold, those 5 painful months of waiting came to an end just a couple of weeks ago when the album was officially released. So I've now listened to the album several times. I own it on vinyl and I own it on CD. I've also ordered the rare limited edition explicit cover of the vinyl, which looks like this, which I should be getting next week, so I'll show that in a video. But I thought I'd show you the vinyl a little bit closer, mainly because the CD's in my car, and this is the weather we're working with today. It's, yeah, it's not pleasant. I mean, my car's only there, but I'd rather stay warm and dry, so fuck the CD. So I bought one standard vinyl, which is the one that went up on the display wall there, and I've also got another one just because I liked one to keep in my collection. So I've actually got 2 copies of it. This is the one for the cover that's on the wall at the moment, and that's your standard black vinyl there, and then you've got the unicorn and the track listings on either side. I believe the copy in here is a coloured edition, so that I think it's like red. Let me have a look. Yes, that's what I thought. It's the black and red one, and I really like this. And that's the other side. Again, really cool. So I'm going to hold my hands up here and say that I didn't actually wait until the official release date to hear the whole album. There was a leak going around on the internet on the Sunday before it was released, which I believe was the 2nd of February, and I basically downloaded it straight away. But one thing I did decide to do was, after I'd heard each song for the very first time, I wrote a review of each track on my phone. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go back, I'm going to read the reviews that I put back when I first listened to them at the start of the month, and I'm going to see if I still agree with those opinions and throw in some new opinions if I have any. So of course I'm going to be starting off by reviewing the title track, which is Father of All. So when I first listened to this, the note I put was, the album kicks off with a lead single that gives us a very different sound than we're used to. Admittedly, it took me a few listens before I started enjoying this song for what it is. This opening song gives a good impression of what to expect from the rest of the album. A collection of very unique songs that you wouldn't necessarily affiliate with Green Day on first listen. I mean, I basically still agree with that review now. When I first heard the song after it came out, I was a little bit worried. Instantly it gave off Trilogy vibes to me. Not because it sounds like anything off the Trilogy, but because this was clearly a different sound that Green Day were experimenting with, and in my head I thought this could go one of two ways. It could be an utter car crash of an album, or it could be something unique and really quite interesting. And I'll be honest, as I've now listened to that song many times, it has grown on me, and yeah, it's a good opening track, I'd say. I'd rate it a 6.5 out of 10. Hi, so I took a little break from filming because I was really hungry, and I also got really warm, so I took my jumper off, so now I'm just going to be wearing this shirt. So if you're watching it and you're thinking, oh, his jumper's gone, where's his jumper gone? Continuity error, that's why. So I'm just giving you a heads up. Anyway, on to the next track. Thanks, Mike from the past. The next track we'll be reviewing is Fire Ready Aim, the second single and second track from Father of All Motherfuckers. So after my first listen to this track, I wrote a fast-paced, loud, short rock song. Something I'd missed. Although I do enjoy this song and tend to return to it more than the album's title track, the lyrics don't do an awful lot for me. And I'd love for it to just be slightly longer in order to incorporate some more of those kick-ass solos we've come to expect from Green Day. Again, I pretty much agree with that. I think the song's really good. It's very catchy. It's very short, it's very loud, it's got a lot of energy behind it, but the lyrics don't really do a lot for me. I don't quite understand them. I'll get you an example. Kick the dog when the whistle blows, well, you're a liar. Feed the creeps with a stick and bone, well, you're a liar. And then things like stick a hammer in your mouth, you're a liar. Basically, I don't really get what the song's about. Maybe that's a fault on my behalf. Maybe I should do more research. But anyway, yeah, it's a catchy song. I just wish that I knew what the fuck it meant. So I rate this one a 6 out of 10. On to the third track and third single from the album, Oh Yeah. This is what I wrote after my first listen. Much like the title track, this was one I wasn't sure on my first couple of listens. After revisiting it several times since, however, I am slightly obsessed. I enjoy the loud drum beat that continues in the background like an ongoing applause. The lyrics are strong and it's a fun, catchy listen. I also like the sample of Joan Jett's classic. Now, the thing I do like about this one is, unlike Fire Ready Aim, I understand, or I think I understand, the message behind the song. So if you've seen the video, it's basically all about how we're all basically glued to our phones nowadays, and I'm assuming the lyrics, everybody's a star, is linking to the fact that if you've got a phone, you can pretty much do anything nowadays. You can become famous just by having a phone, you know, like Instagram models or YouTubers or TikTok stars. Weird bunch of cunts. And I think Billy Joe clearly resents this. So yeah, I actually think it's a really fun, catchy tune with a good message. Now, a lot of people have been sort of slagging Green Day off because they sampled a song that was originally written by Gary Glitter, who's been outed as an abuser and a paedophile. Who's a paedophile? However, Green Day did make it clear upon the release of this single that all the royalties from it would be donated to the IGM and RAIN, R-A-I-N-N charities, and they basically specialise in things like stopping rape and sexual abuse. So yeah, I think it's a really good cause, and like props to Green Day for doing that. It's amazing. All in all, I rate this song a 7 out of 10. So the next song, which is the fourth single and fourth track, can you see a pattern here, is Meet Me on the Roof. So again, after my first listen, I wrote down clean, loud guitars and a nice mix of classic Billy Joe vocals mixed with his falsetto efforts. Very simple, catchy rhythm that I feel will grow on me after a few more listens. I also like the use of Mike's bass here too. Another song that wanted to make you get up and dance, which fits nicely with the theme of the album. Again, yeah, pretty banged on to be fair. As soon as I heard this, it was just so damn catchy. It was stuck in my head over and over again, and even now I still listen to it really regularly because it's just such an easy, light-hearted song to listen to. I showed it to my girlfriend when we were in the car the other day, and she agreed that it was a really good song. She said that it was quite poppy, and at the time I was sort of thinking,
Green Day would hate you.
But I mean, I can't deny the fact that it is quite a poppy song. It's a great song, and for that I will rate it a 7 out of 10. So the next song on the album is I Was a Teenager. This is the longest song on the album, and it clocks in at 3 minutes 45 seconds, which shows you sort of how fast this record goes by.
I don't wanna freak you out, but I cannot lie. I was a teenager, full of piss and vinegar.
After my first listen, I wrote, the longest song on the album offers another example of a great use of simple bass lines in the opening. One thing I'm not overly keen on are the distorted vocals and simple lyrics. They don't do a lot for me personally. Now this is a song that I've completely 180'd on, so I originally wrote that the lyrics didn't do a lot for me, and on my first review I gave it a 5 out of 10, which I think is a bit harsh. I can understand what I mean. The chorus of I Was a Teenager is repeated quite a lot throughout the song, so I can understand why I'd get sick of it or think it's a bit too repetitive, but again, like Meet Me on the Roof, it's just so damn catchy. I'm still yet to settle on my actual favourite song from the album. It'll probably take a few more listens before I can decide on one, but for a while this was actually my favourite song on there, so it goes to show you that even if you don't like a song on first listen, keep trying and it'll grow on you, or it could grow on you like this with me. So yeah, I'm going to change my original rating from a 5 to a 7 out of 10. So next up on the album is Stab You in the Heart, which is the 6th track.
I wanna stab you in the heart. I wanna stab you in the heart. Ready, ready,
So after my first listen, I put loud, fast intro. Straight back to classic punk rock, which merges nicely with an almost Beatles/Beach Boys vibe. This song could fit quite nicely on the likes of Revolution Radio. I just wish it was ever so slightly longer. Again, I agree with what I say there. I can see the sort of Beach Boys vibe going on. After a few more listens, and after my friend Chris mentioned it, I can also see a bit of Elvis Presley in this one as well, who was obviously a huge influence on Billy Joe. It's just such a cool, fast-paced, loud song, and it's one of those you want to listen with the volume all cranked right up. So I'm going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10.
7th track!
It's called Sugar Youth. So what I wrote about Sugar Youth. Another opening that drops you straight into loud guitars and fast drum beats. The vocals seem a little quieter and harder to hear at first, but once the beat drops, Billy's classic snarling vocals are crystal clear. More falsetto included in this track, in the backing vocals, but it really works. This song is another one to dance to for sure. So in this I've noticed that I mentioned about the vocals and how they're not that clear over the guitars. Just to clarify, that was actually due to the quality of the leak that I got. Now that I've got it on official release and I can hear it properly in crystal clear quality, try saying that 7 times fast, I can confirm that's no longer an issue. It was just the quality of the recording I was listening to. I actually got a bit of a nostalgia hit from this one. So in this song, Billy Joe sings the words "and it's dangerous." And if you remember in the song She's a Rebel from American Idiot, the lyrics "and she's dangerous" are in it, and he sings it basically the same way. I'm sure any avid Green Day fans out there probably noticed the same thing. So when I first heard that, I sort of was thrown back to the American Idiot era, and I was like,
oh shit.
So that was quite a nice surprise for me. I don't know if it was done on purpose, but that's how I link them together. Don't do that again. But yeah, as I say, it's fast paced and it's a fucking belter of a song, so I'm going to rate this one another 7 out of 10. So moving on to the next track is Junkies on a High.
I got my own conspiracies, what hides in shadows. Oh yeah, junkies on a high, get back, lay down, go low.
So my opinions after the first listen were, intro reminds me heavily of something more experimental from the Trilogy era. I feel this song would fit in quite well on Dose, or perhaps a follow-up Foxborough Hot Tubs album, with the slow, distorted guitar riffs throughout. The lyrics are strong and the vocals are perfect. The song gets stronger as it goes on. Yeah, I agree. I like the slower tone on this one. I've seen online that some people are even linking it to Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Personally, I don't see that comparison, but I can kind of understand where they're coming from, I guess. But I do think that it's a nice change of pace from the rest of the album, which is obviously quick, in-your-face songs that flash by before you know it. It's also got some really strong lyrics. The most haunting one being "Rock and Roll Tragedy." I think the next one could be me.
Rock and roll tragedy, I think the next one could be me.
which I've since read in interviews that Billy Joe was referring to himself there, and he's saying that at various points in his life, all his loved ones and people around him have been worried about him, about his health. So obviously that hits pretty hard. It's a great song, it's got a different tone to it, and I'm going to rate this one an 8 out of 10. Okay, so the penultimate track on the album is Take the Money and Crawl.
This is the way of life. I'm gonna take a dive, take the money and crawl. Do what they say, please, right on my knees. Take the money and crawl.
So my thoughts on this one were slow intro that leads into fast, loud guitars. One thing I will say is that I found it difficult to hear the vocals at times, with the guitar so loud and in your face. Another song I feel would fit quite well into the trilogy era. I feel it was a relatively strong song, but it ended very abruptly. So again, like a previous song, I mentioned about the vocals not being very clear. Again, I want to clarify that that was the quality of the leaked version of the song that I listened to. Now that I've listened to it since, that is no longer an issue. But yeah, I agree that this one could probably fit quite well in the trilogy, maybe on Uno. It's got a bit of an experimental sound to it as well. But it's hella catchy, and the lyrics are really quite humorous in places. My favourite of which being, well, you can take a walk or you can suck my cock.
Brilliant.
So I'm going to rate this one another 7 out of 10. Okay, so the final track on the album is called Graffitia.
Are we the last forgotten? Are we the long lost road? Are we the last forgotten? Are we the long lost road? This city isn't big enough for dreamers.
My review of this one was very high, straight off the bat. So I put classic Green Day sounding song. Very well written, and in parts reminds me of a 21st century breakdown era song with its heavy guitars. Easily the strongest on the album, with the mix of isolated vocals and heavy riffs. Perfectly mixed and a pleasure to replay. A very strong closing to the album. So I said that it was a classic Green Day sounding song, and although I don't fully agree with that, I can see what I mean. I think what I meant is this song is the closest to sounding like a classic Green Day song, because as I mentioned at the start, all these songs sound different from one another. They've all got some experimental vibes going on. Billy's trying different things with his vocals, which is exciting, and I feel like this one was a nice closure for the album because it does feel like something off a classic Green Day album. For example, 21st Century Breakdown or maybe Revolution Radio. And as I said, although I don't have one favourite song yet, I think this one is always going to be up there for me. After my first few listens, this was my favourite, and even now I think it holds up really well, and it's definitely one of the stronger songs on the album. I rated the song a 9 out of 10 on my first listen. I'm going to amend that slightly, but I am still going to give it a very respectable 8.5 out of 10. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the latest Green Day album, Father of All Motherfuckers. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on the album if you've listened to it yet, or you can give me your thoughts on my opinions of the song. Some you agree with, some you disagree with. Let's have a discussion down in the comments. Not an argument, a discussion, alright? Fucking calm it. Fucking calm down. So instead of just choosing a random Green Day album to review next, what I've done is I've put the remaining albums onto a random name generator on my phone. I'm going to click the wheel and spin it, and I'm going to see what it lands on, and whichever album it lands on next will be what I review. So let's have a look. Okay then, quite random, but the next album I'll be reviewing will be Trey, the third and final installation of the trilogy. And obviously I understand that not everybody who watches my videos are Green Day fans, so feel free to comment some more albums down below that you'd like me to review. Some of you guys did it on my previous video and I appreciate that. I am looking into those at the moment, but yeah, if you do want to see me review a particular album, drop me a message, drop me a comment, and I'll check that out. But yes, thank you very much for watching everybody. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all very soon. Bye! Sorry. I'd rate it a 6.5 out of 10.